Hello, everyone, and welcome back. In today's session, we will look into one of the most powerful yet underutilized features of AWS S3, which is your lifecycle policies. So, if managing costs and optimizing the storage in AWS is a priority for you, then this is the feature that you should be using. By the end of this video, you will learn how to configure lifecycle rules, understand real world use cases, and also avoid any common pitfalls. Once again, before I start off with the session, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So let's get started with this. We'll start off with the basics, which is what are AWS lifecycle policies. So Amazon S3 Lifecycle Policies, they mainly allow us to automate the transition of our objects between different storage classes. So in AWS S3, we have storage classes like standard IA, intelligent tiering, Glacier, deep archive. So likewise, we have different storage classes. Now, if you want to automate the transition of objects between these storage classes, then we can make use of your lifecycle policies. In addition to that, we can also delete the objects after a specified period. So this feature is essential for optimizing your costs and managing your data that has different levels of importance over a period of time. Now, for example, let's say you have frequently accessed data. Now, you can keep these files in the standard storage class. Then you have if you have any older or very less accessed files, you can move them to intelligent tiering or Glacier for cost saving. And if you have any temporary files, then we can automatically delete these files after a specific time frame. Now, when we talk about your lifecycle policies, it provides us with some key features. So, the first feature we have is the transaction actions. So, we can use this to automatically move the data between different storage classes like your standard, intelligent tiering, Glacier, and deep archive. The next feature we have is the expiration actions. We can also use this feature to automatically delete the objects after a specific number of days. Then we have prefix and tag filters. We can use this feature to apply the lifecycle policies only to specific objects or tags for more granular control. And finally, we have the version management. So we can use this feature to manage old as well as non-current versions of your objects in the bucket when you have enabled versioning. So, like I said before, these features mainly help us to optimize the cost and also simplify the storage management. Next, we are going to talk about why you should be using these lifecycle policies. So, why should we care about using these lifecycle policies? So, let me give you three reasons for this. One is your cost optimization. So, if you do not manage your costs properly, the storage cost in AWS can increase rapidly. So we can use these lifecycle policies to ensure that if there are any infrequently accessed data, we can move them to more cost-effective storage tiers like your Glacier or Deep Archive. Second is your operational efficiency. So by automating transitions and enabling automatic deletions, we can save on the manual effort and also reduce the possibility of any human errors. And the third we have is your compliance. We can set the data for automatic deletion um, after a certain number of days or after a compliance period. Now, this will ensure that the system adheres to data retention policies. For example, let's say we have a media company that stores media footage. Now, we can use this lifecycle policy to save on cost by archiving any older footages that are very rarely accessed. Let's see an example for this. So we will look at how we can configure the lifecycle policies and basically how you can automate your transition of your objects. So here is my S3 service and here are my bucket. This is the bucket that we will be using. So let's go to that bucket and we have few objects, right? So this should be enough. If you want to add more objects, you can add. Now, how do you configure your lifecycle policy? So you can go to management and here you should be able to see your lifecycle policies. So we'll click on create lifecycle rule and we will begin with filling in the details. So you can give a name to this. This is your rule scope. So limit this rule to only specific objects or apply to all the objects. So this is the prefix and tag filter that we have. So we will apply this to all the objects and we will acknowledge this, and then the actions. So like I said, one of the feature of your lifecycle policy is that it also supports your non-current versions. So do you want to transition only the current versions, or you want to transition the non-current versions? Do you want to expire the current versions? You want to permanently delete, and also delete expired object delete marker. So there are different options. Just for the sake of example, we will go with the first one, which is the transition the current versions of the objects between different storage classes. So we'll acknowledge, so basically it will incur a transition cost per request, and then we will come over here. So by default, our data will be there in the standard. So here you can see it does not show, it does not reflect the standard storage class. Now, so choose a storage class transition. So I want to move my data to standard IA, and you will need to have a minimum of 30 days. So that is, your data should be there in standard for a minimum of 30 days. So days after object creation, so let's say 30. So what I'm telling here is, after 30 days of my object creation, move it to standard IA. Then we can add one more transition, and now let's say I want to move it to one zone IA after 60 days. Then I want to move it to my Glacier deep archive after 180 days. So I'm basically transitioning my objects from one storage class to another storage class. Now this is for your current versions. You can also add it for your non-current versions. You want to expire your objects, you can add that as well. So you can specify, so let's say I want to delete it after 365 days. So this becomes my transition. So day 0 object will be uploaded, that is we are creating the object. Day 30 it will move it to standard IA. Day 60 it will move it to one zone IA. Day 180 it will move it to deep Glacier archive, and day 65 it will delete the objects for us. So this is for your current versions. If you set it for your non-current, you should be able to see the actions over here. So this is basically how you create your lifecycle rules to automatically transition your objects from one storage class to another storage class. We'll go ahead and click on this create rule, and this should create the lifecycle rule for us. So here my lifecycle rule is created, and that's it. Your lifecycle policy is now active. So here you can see transition to standard IA, then one zone IA, then deep Glacier, a deep archive, and then expire. So likewise, if you want to create more lifecycle rules, you can always do that. So this is basically how you set up your lifecycle rules. Next, we'll talk about some of the advantages of your lifecycle policy. So it helps us to reduce the cost by automating the transitions of the objects. Then it ensures compliance with data retention policies, and then it also provides it simplifies the storage management by automatically transitioning the objects from one storage class to another storage class. Now, though it provides us with advantages, it also has some disadvantages that you will need to keep in mind. So, if your lifecycle policy is not configured properly, that can lead to accidental deletions of your objects. So, you'll have to be very careful with the configuration that you're doing, and then long retrieval time for any data that is archived in Glacier. So, if you're moving the data to Glacier, it can take few hours to few days to retrieve the data. So, you will need to keep in mind that as well. So remember, while lifecycle policies are powerful, they must be configured carefully to avoid any accidental data loss. And that brings us to the end of AWS S3 Lifecycle Policies. By using this, we can automate your storage management, we can save cost, and also ensure compliance with ease. That's all I have for this session. Thank you. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon for more cloud content. Drop your questions in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.